This winter, our preseason really wasn't affected. We had a decent preseason. Lack of snow for the past 2-3 years has affected us, but the preseason was actually pretty average. During the season, we saw things start to trail off. The ice equipment, spreaders, stuff like that kind of continued on, but the pushing equipment, the snow plows and pushers and stuff, box plows, they really trailed off and kind of came to a halt. Our area averages about 20 some odd inches a year. This year we got 2 plowable events at the shop within a mile to a mile and a half. They didn't even get that. Our customers who have seasonal contracts, most of them who know that we can have temperamental seasons, try to write a mix of seasonal contracts and per push contracts so that a season like this doesn't bury them. That way too, if we get a major snow season, you know, they're not stuck for all the fuel costs and labor costs too. So I think the smart guys really write it both ways. But I do have customers coming in who are definitely upset about the lack of snow for the season. Next season, I think we need a good early snowstorm to sell preseason. I think if we see some white stuff early, it might start people moving. I think my biggest fear is there's a lot of new unused equipment or new lightly used equipment out in the field. There are people getting out of the industry because it's been tough seasons. I think there's going to be a flood of used equipment in the market that'll limit preseason sales and in-season sales of new equipment.
So where our shop is located in Maryland, we average 18 to 22 inches per season. This year, I had to get out a set of micrometers to measure how much snow we got. We got 0.2 of an inch, so that's less than an eighth of an inch of snow, of measurable snowfall in our area. So it's been interesting this season. Basically, our numbers are down for our service and sales of parts, because usually January, February, you guys have broke up so much stuff because unfortunately in Maryland we don't get snow a lot, so everybody forgets how to plow their first 1 or 2 storms. Unfortunately with the lack of snow this year, we've not had that, so unfortunately we've had to, luckily we were able to pick up some of our other businesses that we do, has been taken off to cover those slow periods, but it's been definitely interesting with all of our customers. The biggest thing I see with a slow winter like this is it gets a lot of people scared. Well, it didn't snow last year. I don't think I need to buy a plow now. It's not going to snow next year. And it gives people a false sense of security. The problem is in our area, Maryland has 2 things. Either it doesn't snow at all or it's please God make it stop. As you know, we traditionally get every 5 to 10 years, we get a massive 20 or 30 inch storm, shuts the entire state down, and it's just an utter disaster. I thought this was going to be able to do that, so I'm probably figuring next year, and the general consent of most of my customers saying we just came out of El Nino, and we're going to be going into El Nino, next year we're going to get hammered. One of the biggest problems with the snow industry, particularly in our area and particularly most of the East Coast, is too many guys rely on it entirely too heavy as part of their portfolio. Snow money is blood money. It costs you a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to buy the equipment, do the job, and everything else. Now you do make good money when it snows, but snow money needs to be sometimes considered as a bonus. This isn't like in the Midwest or up north or in Canada where snow's just a way of life. We don't get it here on the East Coast enough to have your entire business revolve around it. Now don't get me wrong, I have a lot of customers that are strictly snow customers. So they do have their way, they have their businesses set up with minimum guaranteed contracts or seasonal contracts. But a lot of guys that I'm hearing this year, oh, it didn't snow, I'm gonna get my truck repoed, or I don't know how I'm gonna make the payment on my plow. Those are the guys that get gung-ho into it. They think they're gonna make a bunch of money and then they don't get snow, they don't know how to pay their bills. So if you're buying equipment, you gotta know, can I make these payments on this equipment if it doesn't snow? Because if you ever want to find out everybody who cares about you, miss 2 payments, because somebody will care about you then.
We didn't really have a winter. I think we had 3 events that you might consider snow removal. Most of it was gone the next day. So definitely parts and service are a little lacking. People were not really using their plows, their sanders, so they weren't really breaking them, so they're not really buying parts. Plow sales were still pretty strong. Lack of trucks, lack of chassis made that a little bit more difficult, but we'll get through. And so we found whenever we have like a downtime, any kind of slow time, regardless of when it is, we turn around and focus more on the customer and trying to clean up some of our processes. So we've spent a lot of time just being more efficient. We've spent time cleaning things that we didn't normally clean. But it's definitely a time to step back and kind of look at yourself as a company, find out if there's anything you can do to improve. Got rid of some old stagnant inventory, things like that. So it's just been it's been nice. It'll help us in the long run.
We went from a normal 100 to 120 inch winter to about 60 inches right now. There's still room here this month. We had 8 inches before we came down to the show on Monday night, and they're predicting another storm, but it certainly hasn't been back to back. There's a lot of places in the country that they're really snow starved, not just for the business, but for the weather to help the grounds. A lot of the contractors nationwide in a snow market plan on the snow to help them make their money for the year or make monies for the rest of their year. So when we have a winter that's very mild like this, it's difficult. There's some that are in markets where they only get paid when they perform. There aren't performance bonds or payments, and they don't have a yearly contract. They're a per time, per application. So a winter like this for them is very, very difficult. In a market where you can have a yearly contract, this is a great winter for them because they don't have to go out as much. But if you have a couple of soft winters, then the customers start to ask questions about what they're actually being charged. They don't realize how much it takes for the customer, for the plow person to have their equipment ready to go. A new truck today at $60,000, $70,000, $80,000. A new plow, $8,000, $10,000, $12,000, $15,000. A new spreader, somewhere between $5,000 and $8,000. It's a lot of money just to go out and plow snow. So you have to have a good return on the investment. Anybody who plows snow and has equipment, they should have the equipment serviced or try to have it serviced before the season. And when we have a season like this, in between storms, they need to make sure that anything that's going on with their truck, with their plow, with their spreader, anything in their supply chain, that they're paying attention to that so that when there is a storm, they can react immediately. Because now they have a very narrow window to be able to try to make money in that situation. In a normal winter where you have snow every day, they're staying active. They're sleeping on the same schedule as the snow is coming. They're working on a regular basis or daily basis. When we don't have snow, that changes. They sleep more like a normal person. They're not necessarily geared up and ramped up for the snow. So when we get an event, they have to change what they're doing. And in a winter like this, they might do that 4, 5, 6 times throughout the winter. So they have to keep that mentality of, if it comes, I have to be ready.